I worked in the film business, but today I think that AI is going to take over. Some people say, oh, it's going to be okay, and other people say, today it's like, it's over with. Producer Tyler Perry, he had gotten a line of credit for $800 million. Tyler Perry says, okay, and he hits the button and the laptop, and there it comes up. In the 60s and the 70s, it was a lot easier to buy a house. Today, I don't know how anybody can.
What's the most amount of money you ever made in a single year? So today we're going to be interviewing some old timer guy that I met from my dad. He's a G dude, very successful dude in life, and he hired us out to do some tacos. So we're going to do that as well. Let's just get into the interview. What's your name?
Bill Petrata.
What did you do all your life?
I worked in the film business. I am what they call a property master, responsible for anything that an actor is going to touch or handle, any animals that are going to be in a movie, any armor, shields and spears or anything like that, any mode of transportation from a donkey to a rocket ship.
What's the biggest movie you worked on?
The biggest one that most people know is Jaws.
Would you advise others to go down the film industry route?
I would have a year ago, but today I think that AI is going to take over. Some people say, oh, it's going to be okay, and other people say, it's over with.
Because now you could just type anything on the computer and AI just
Exactly.
brings it up.
Exactly. I'll tell you one story. There was a famous movie producer, Tyler Perry. He's got stages in Atlanta, and Tyler Perry had gotten a line of credit for $800 million to build a whole bunch of more stages there. And some kid like you came up to him and said, there's two guys in a river, they're fishing, they all catch fish, and the fish come on the thing. Tyler Perry says, okay. And he hits the button and the laptop, and there it comes up. It has the river, it has the mountains, it has all of the plants. Everything, that's the way he described it and is coming out of his own mind.
All the details just from AI.
So what do you need anything else for?
AI is a skill. The lazy men, they're going to get replaced, but the ones that are willing to put it to work.
Absolutely. It's a different skill than what I had. It's totally different because it's all technical now. And mine was more not technical. I mean, I had to do a lot of research. The biggest thing you do when you start working on a movie is you read the story. And if it takes place in the 1880s, a cowboy movie or something, then you have to do all the research and see what kind of guns did they use, what kind of horses did they ride, what did the saddles look like, what did the Indians look like when they were shooting the bows and arrows and whatever it was. And that's all research. It used to be done through libraries. Now, Google. The research has been a lot easier.
What's the best advice you have to give to someone that's watching this video that's not really sure what they want to do with their life?
Go to school as much as you can. Get your education as much as you can. A lot of people say college is no good anymore, and maybe it isn't. They have schools for plumbers. They have schools for electricians. Anything to do with that, I think, is going to still stay the same. If you're not going to be a lawyer or a doctor, I would say go to a technical school, put in air conditioning, something like that, because there's nothing more gratifying than working with your hands anyhow. I mean, I had to work with my mind a little bit too, but most of my job was physical. A trade is a good thing. Look at the trades that are going around. Find something that you might be gravitating to and work as an apprentice.
You don't think AI is going to replace that? Like, for example, welding? I've seen a welding robot.
Welding, yeah, but I don't know how it's going to replace it to come into a person's home. But we'll see. It might. I don't know. I can't, in my mind, think about if the toilet gets clogged up, how they're going to bring a robot in there to unclog it.
Yeah.
And that's part of being a plumber.
What's the best business advice you've ever received?
Well, I received it from my grandfather, and he said, I don't care if you got a hot dog stand. If you have a hot dog stand, he says, then you're your own boss. If you want to go to the beach on a certain day, he says, take out your wallet and look in it and see how much money you have. Do you have enough money to go to the beach? Then go. If you don't, stand by the hot dog stand to sell hot dogs. That was the best advice I ever got.
How did you apply that to your life?
I was lucky. I went to school and I learned a little bit about economics, but for my own, I started buying property when I was very young, houses and stuff like that.
How old are you?
81. In the 60s and the 70s, it was a lot easier to buy a house. Today, I don't know how anybody can. If you made $100 a week, $25 could go to your rent or your house payment, and the rest is what you lived on to buy your food and your clothing and whatever else.
Yeah.
Today, it's like 50% or 60% just for housing. It's upside down in that sense. I don't know how it's going to come back. I hope it does. Who knows? We'll see.
What got you into real estate?
I just learned in school a little bit about finance and leverage. If I bought a house for $10,000 and I had it for 5 years or 3 years or whatever, and now it's worth $12,000, then I could take the $2,000 as a loan and buy another house. First down payment I made on my house was like $2,200, and I bought the house was $23,000. Today it's crazy. I don't know how anybody could do it.
What's the most amount of money you ever made in a single year?
In the 80s, maybe $300,000, which was a lot of money. All that money went bye-bye.
What mistakes do you want people to avoid that you made in your life?
Overextending yourself and credit cards. I have one now, but I pay it off every single month. Watch your credit cards, watch your spending. You still have to live life. Don't be too cheap.
What's the biggest life lesson you ever learned?
Don't get married. No, I'm just teasing you.
Sign a prenup?
I think drinking is fine if you can handle it. I couldn't handle it, so I don't do it. I know my limitations. And smoking is guys all day long dying of lung cancer, so I don't think it's a good idea.
One thing that I do is I look at others people's like their end goal, their end life, like, oh, what did they do all their life? The people that were on drugs, they're in the streets now, just on drugs. People that drink, they have problems and stuff like that. And people that smoke, they're always just not trying to achieve more. Me, I like to look at others' mistakes and just learn from that.
That's a good idea. If you can have the insight to see where it's going to lead you, then that's a good thing.
Any last words you want to say to the people that are watching this? Like any advice, wisdom?
Just live your own life and don't worry about too much what other people think. You can tell if a thing is good for you or bad for you. I think that's true in my case. I go with my own conscience.
Appreciate it, Bill.
No problem.